If you walk away now, everyone will believe the lie. Noah's fingers tightened around the envelope in his jacket pocket as Ethan stood beneath the white glare of the stadium tunnel, still wearing his varsity jacket after the final home game. Beyond the concrete wall, hundreds of students chanted Ethan's name. Inside, the air smelled of rain, cut grass, and the sharp detergent used on the team uniforms. Ethan had spent 4 years becoming exactly what the town rewarded: quarterback, honor student, dependable son. Noah had spent the same 4 years learning how to disappear whenever people stared too long. Before we continue, where are you watching from? Drop your city in the comments below, and if you believe in dignity and justice, hit like and subscribe. Now back to Noah. I'm not asking you to announce anything, Noah said. His voice stayed calm, but the envelope pressed against his ribs like a second heartbeat. I'm asking whether I should keep planning a future that includes you. Ethan looked toward the tunnel entrance. His teammates were waiting outside, along with his parents and the scholarship committee chairman. One step toward Noah could alter the reputation he had built. One step away could cost him something no trophy could replace. Not here, Ethan whispered. Noah's eyes remained steady. That has been your answer everywhere. He removed the envelope and held it between them. The return address belonged to a design institute in Chicago, nearly 900 miles away. Ethan recognized it immediately. For months, Noah had talked about the application as if wanting more from life required an apology. You got in? Ethan asked. Noah nodded. The crowd roared again, muffled by concrete. He had imagined sharing this news differently, perhaps in Ethan's truck by the lake, where darkness made honesty easier. But Noah understood something beneath those stadium lights. Secrecy had stopped protecting him. It was only teaching him to accept less. I leave in August, he said. Full scholarship. Pride crossed Ethan's face, followed by fear so quickly that Noah almost pretended not to see it. Almost. We can figure this out, Ethan said. Can we? Noah asked. Or do you mean I can wait while you figure out whether I'm worth being seen? Ethan froze mid-word. Noah did not accuse him. That made the question heavier. He simply placed the unopened acceptance letter in Ethan's hand and stepped back. I'm going to Chicago, he said. That decision isn't yours. But whether there is still in us when I leave, that is. Then Noah walked through the side exit into the rain, surrendering the comfort of secrecy before Ethan could offer another promise made safely in the dark. Behind him, the chanting continued. Ethan stood alone with the future Noah had chosen and the truth he could no longer postpone. When the stadium doors opened, would he protect the life everyone admired or finally acknowledge the person he loved? Rainwater drummed against the stadium roof while the last buses idled beside the curb, their headlights dissolving across the wet pavement. Inside the concrete corridor, Ethan turned the acceptance letter over in his hands. The envelope felt impossibly light for something capable of dividing his life in two. Beyond the doors waited teammates, parents, cameras, and the familiar version of him they had already decided to celebrate. Coach Daniels entered carrying Ethan's championship jacket. The local station wants the senior captains together, he said. Your father is waiting by the field. Ethan looked through the narrow window. Noah had reached the far end of the parking lot, walking alone beneath the cold rain. In that instant, Ethan understood that silence was no longer neutral. It was a choice, and Noah had been paying its price. Coach, Ethan said, removing the gold captain's pin from his jacket. I am not doing the interview. Coach Daniels stopped. The corridors seemed to tighten around them. That interview was more than school publicity. College representatives followed the program, and Ethan's father had spent months shaping every appearance into proof that his son was dependable, disciplined, and uncomplicated. This is not the time to make an emotional decision, the coach warned. No, Ethan replied, his voice unsteady but clear. It is the first honest decision I have made tonight. He handed over the pin and walked through the side exit. The rain struck his face before the door had closed behind him. Noah, the name carried across the parking lot. Noah stopped beneath a flickering lamp, but did not turn immediately. Ethan crossed the shining asphalt with the acceptance letter held against his chest. He did not ask Noah to stay. He did not offer another secret promise. Instead, he stepped beneath the light where teammates gathering near the buses could see them. Several voices faded. A few phones lowered. You are going to Chicago, Ethan said. And I am proud of you. Noah faced him slowly, searching for the condition that usually followed Ethan's tenderness. None came. Ethan reached for Noah's hand. His fingers trembled, but they did not retreat. Across the lot, Ethan's father stood beside the stadium entrance, perfectly still. Coach Daniels watched from behind the glass. The admired quarterback had not made a speech or explained himself. He had simply chosen not to hide. Noah closed his hand around Ethan's, not as someone rescued, but as someone deciding whether this act had earned one more measure of trust. "This does not erase what happened," Noah said quietly. "I know, and I am still leaving. I know that too." Ethan's public image had cracked, and whatever followed could reach his family, his team, and the future others had planned for him. Yet the secret between them was gone. As the buses pulled away, one question remained beneath the hard white lights. When morning brought consequences, would Ethan still hold Noah's hand? By sunrise, a photograph had crossed every group chat in town. Two boys beneath the stadium lights, fingers locked between them, Ethan's captain's pin missing from his jacket. Noah saw it while sitting at his mother's kitchen table, his scholarship letter folded beside a cooling cup of coffee. The comments arrived faster than he could read them. Some were kind. Others reduced him to a rumor, a distraction, or the reason the team's celebrated quarterback had walked away from the cameras. Then a message appeared from Ethan. "Do not answer anyone. I am coming." Noah stared at those words. The night before, Ethan had chosen visibility. This morning, Noah understood that visibility had chosen him too. A local sports reporter called twice. A classmate asked whether Chicago was merely an excuse to escape the scandal. Noah silenced the phone, but he did not hide it. When Ethan reached the front porch, the rain had stopped, leaving the street silver beneath a pale sky. His eyes were shadowed from a sleepless night. "My father wants me home," Ethan said. "Coach Daniels wants a meeting before school. The reporter says colleges may have questions." Noah opened the door, but did not step aside. "And what do you want from me?" Ethan froze. Until that moment, every consequence had centered on his team, his future, his fear. Noah had been treated like evidence in someone else's crisis. "I want us to face it together," Ethan said. Noah's expression remained steady. "Together does not mean I become your explanation." The words landed without anger, which made them impossible to dismiss. Noah opened his phone and typed a short statement beneath the photograph. He did not identify their relationship, defend Ethan's choices, or apologize for being present. He wrote that his scholarship had been earned through years of work, that he would attend the Design Institute in Chicago, and that no photograph gave strangers ownership of his private life. Then he pressed send. The message spread within minutes. This time, the story did not belong entirely to the quarterback. Noah had claimed his own name before anyone else could define it. The choice carried a new cost. Students who had never noticed his portfolio now searched through his pages. A Design Institute administrator left a voicemail asking to speak with him. Even praise felt invasive beneath the relentless glow of the screen. Ethan reached toward him, then stopped, allowing Noah to decide the distance between them. Noah finally stepped onto the porch and stood beside him, not behind him. Across town, Coach Daniels sent a single message. "The meeting is at 8. Your father will be there." Ethan read it, but Noah was the one who answered the silence. "Go," he said. "Do not use me as the reason you stay, and do not let them use me as the reason you surrender." Ethan nodded and walked toward his car alone. Behind him, Noah remained beneath the clear morning light, holding both his scholarship letter and the future he had defended. By 8 o'clock, Ethan would no longer be facing whispers in a parking lot. He would be facing the two men who had helped build the life now demanding an answer from him. The second hand above Coach Daniels' desk clicked toward 8 beneath the hard fluorescent light. For chairs waited in a room that smelled of coffee, leather, and freshly cut grass drifting through an open window. Ethan entered alone. His father sat beside Coach Daniels, still wearing the charcoal suit he had worn at the stadium, his expression controlled enough to make anger seem almost merciful. On the desk lay Ethan's returned captain's pin, his college recruitment file, and a printed photograph from the parking lot. "Sit down," Coach Daniels said. Ethan remained standing. Coach Daniels placed one hand on the recruitment file. Several college representatives had called that morning. They were not withdrawing offers, but they wanted reassurance that Ethan remained focused, dependable, and free from what they called distractions. The words settled over the room like dust. Ethan's father leaned forward. "Tell them the photograph was misunderstood." Finish the season. Protect what you have built. For years, Ethan had mistaken that voice for certainty. Now he heard the fear beneath it. Fear of neighbors, boosters, relatives, and a future no longer following the plan. Nothing was misunderstood, Ethan said. His father's jaw tightened. Coach Daniels warned that honesty could cost Ethan influence with recruiters. Silence might preserve every option. Ethan looked at the polished pin, then at the file containing years of statistics, honors, and carefully approved photographs. Noah had not asked him to abandon football. That made the choice harder, not easier. There was no villain to blame and no sacrifice to disguise as romance. Only a question Ethan could no longer avoid, whether his future belonged to him. I am still the same quarterback and honor student I was yesterday, he said. If a college needs me to deny Noah before it can respect my work, I do not want its offer. His father rose so quickly that the chair scraped across the floor. He said Ethan was gambling with tuition, opportunity, and the family's name. Ethan did not retreat. Then I will apply for academic aid, work, and choose a school that wants the truth. The room went silent. Coach Daniels studied him for several seconds, then closed the recruitment file. He did not promise protection. Instead, he said Ethan would address the team that afternoon and answer for his decision without hiding behind the coach, his father, or Noah. Ethan accepted. His father stared at the captain's pin as though it were evidence of a son he could still recover. Then he gave Ethan the coldest consequence he possessed. If Ethan continued publicly, he would no longer pay for college or permit the family name to open doors for him. The threat did not take away a trophy or a photograph. It removed the future Ethan had always assumed was guaranteed. Ethan's fingers trembled once before becoming still. I understand. He turned toward the door, but Coach Daniels called his name. The coach slid the captain's pin across the desk. You returned this because you thought truth disqualified you from leading, he said. The team will decide that today. Ethan picked it up without fastening it to his jacket. Outside, morning light stretched across the empty field, clean and unforgiving. His phone showed a message from Noah asking only one question. Did you speak for yourself? Ethan typed back, yes. And it cost me my father's support. He paused before adding, now I have to face the team. Rubber cleats scraped across the locker room floor as 27 players settled onto wooden benches beneath the hard fluorescent lights. The familiar smell of grass, detergent, and damp shoulder pads filled the air, but the usual laughter had vanished. Ethan stood beside Coach Daniels with the captain's pin closed inside his fist. Some teammates stared at him. Others studied the floor. Coach Daniels folded his arms. This room belongs to the team, he said. So does the decision. Then he stepped back, leaving Ethan without protection. Ethan had rehearsed explanations on the walkover. None survived the silence. The photograph was not a misunderstanding, he said. Noah is someone I care about, and I will not deny him to make recruitment easier. A locker door clicked shut somewhere in the back row. Ethan opened his hand and placed the captain's pin on the equipment table. I have asked every one of you to trust me in the final 2 minutes of a game. You deserve the same honesty from me now. But I will not use this pin to demand your approval. Coach Daniels' expression remained unreadable. The team votes, he said. No speeches from me. No pressure from anyone. Small slips of paper moved from hand to hand. For 3 long minutes, pencils whispered against wood. Ethan could lose more than a title here. A captaincy could be returned. Trust, once broken inside a team, could not be restored by a coach's order. Marcus Reed, the senior center who had protected Ethan's blind side for 2 seasons, collected the ballots. He counted them once, then again. Before I give the result, Marcus said, rising, I need to say something. Every face turned toward him. I am angry. Ethan's jaw tightened. Not because of Noah, Marcus continued. Because our captain believed we could handle 4th and goal, but not the truth about his life. The words landed without cruelty, which made them heavier. Ethan nodded. You are right. Marcus looked down at the ballots, then earned back what the silence cost. He announced the vote. Ethan would remain captain, but not without consequence. The players required him to answer their questions honestly and to stop allowing rumors to speak for him. It was not forgiveness. It was accountability. One by one, teammates began asking what he had known, what he had hidden, and whether he still intended to play. Ethan answered each question without invoking his father, the recruiters, or Noah as an excuse. When the room finally emptied, Marcus left the pin on the bench beside him. Ethan fastened it to his jacket only after everyone was gone. His phone vibrated. Noah had sent no reassurance, only a photograph of 2 train tickets to Chicago and a message beneath it. The institute invited scholarship students for orientation next weekend. I bought my ticket. The second one is yours if you are ready to see the life I chose. Ethan stared through the locker room doorway toward the field. Winning back the team had required truth. Stepping onto that train would require something harder. Entering Noah's future without asking Noah to make it smaller. 2 silver train tickets glowed on Ethan's phone beneath the locker room's fluorescent lights. One carried Noah's name. The other carried his. By midnight, Ethan had typed 6 different replies and deleted every one. I want to go sounded easy. Going was not. Saturday morning arrived beneath a pale sky, and Noah waited outside the station with a canvas portfolio strapped across his back. He did not ask whether Ethan had permission. He only looked at the overnight bag in Ethan's hand. You came. I bought my own return ticket, Ethan said. If you want space after orientation, you will have it. Something softened in Noah's eyes, but he did not reward Ethan with instant absolution. Then keep up. The train pulled away from town with a metallic groan. Fields slid past the window, followed by warehouses, neighborhoods, and the widening geometry of Chicago. For once, Ethan was entering a place where his jersey meant nothing. No banners carried his number. No coach called him captain. At the institute, sunlight poured across white brick walls and long tables scattered with fabric, charcoal, wire, and unfinished models. Students greeted Noah by name after seeing his scholarship profile. A faculty advisor stopped beside his portfolio and praised the structure of a transit pavilion he had designed. Ethan stood several feet away, silent, watching Noah become visible for his talent rather than for the photograph that had consumed their hometown. Then the advisor turned toward Ethan. Are you applying here too? The familiar answer rose automatically. Quarterback, honor student, college recruitment. Ethan let it die before it reached his mouth. No, I am Noah's guest. The words were simple, but they shifted the ground beneath them. Noah had spent months existing at the edge of Ethan's public life. Now Ethan stepped willingly into the background of his. During lunch, Noah spread campus maps and housing information across a steel table. You do not have to follow me to prove anything, he said. I know. Ethan placed his phone beside the maps. On its screen was a message confirming that he had declined a recruiter's private campus visit scheduled for that same afternoon. It had been his strongest remaining path to a funded college future. I did not cancel because you asked, Ethan said. You did not ask. I canceled because I promised to see what you chose, and I am done making promises that disappear when they become inconvenient. Noah's fingers rested against the edge of the Chicago map. Ethan had not surrendered football, and he had not claimed a place in Noah's plans. He had given up control of the timetable. That was different. That cost something no crowd could applaud. On the evening train home, Noah finally handed him the unused ticket receipt. I bought the second seat because I hoped you would come, he said. Not because I needed you to. Ethan folded the receipt carefully and placed it behind his captain's pin. Outside, Chicago receded into amber light. Between them, the question was no longer whether Ethan could acknowledge Noah in public. It was whether he could build a future of his own without turning Noah's future into another promise he expected to be rearranged. By Monday afternoon, the recruiter's voicemail had filled the quiet kitchen with a final deadline. The scholarship offer remained open, but the university wanted Ethan's answer before sunset. Ethan listened once, then placed the phone beside the captain's pin and the receipt from Chicago. One represented the life others had built for him. The other reminded him that love was not a substitute for direction. Across town, Noah worked late in the art room, trimming charcoal presentation boards beneath fluorescent lights. He did not call to ask what Ethan had decided. That silence was deliberate. Noah had already chosen Chicago, and now he refused to become the compass Ethan borrowed whenever his own future frightened him. At 6:15, Ethan found Noah washing graphite from his hands. I turned down their scholarship, Ethan said. The water continued running. Noah looked at him through the spotted mirror, his expression steady rather than grateful. Because you missed the meeting? Because they gave me 48 hours to repair my image and never asked what I wanted to study. Ethan shut off the faucet. For years, Football had opened every door before he could decide whether he wanted to enter. Without his father's money or influence, rejecting a funded offer meant accepting something more frightening than public criticism. It meant uncertainty. Noah dried his hand slowly. "What do you want?" The answer did not arrive like a victory speech. It came quietly. Ethan wanted to study physical therapy. He remembered every injured teammate who had been treated like damaged equipment. Every player rushed back onto the field because winning mattered more than healing. Football could remain part of his life, but it would no longer own the shape of it. That night, Ethan completed an application to a state university with a strong kinesiology program. He requested financial aid, added weekend work experience at a local recreation center, and wrote his personal essay without mentioning Noah once. The choice belonged to him. Before submitting it, he called Coach Daniels and asked for a recommendation based on his discipline, not his passing statistics. Coach Daniels remained silent for several seconds. "That school is not recruiting you as quarterback," he finally said. "I know. Then you may have to walk onto the team. No guarantees." Ethan watched the cursor blink over the submission button. "That is the first honest offer I have heard." He sent the application. The confirmation appeared at 11:43, plain black letters against a white screen. No applause followed. No stadium lights burned above him. Across the room, Noah studied Ethan's face and understood what had changed. Ethan had not followed him to Chicago, and he had not returned to the future his father designed. He had chosen a road that could stand even if their relationship did not. Noah stepped closer and placed the unused ticket receipt beside the application confirmation. "Now you have something that is yours," he said. Ethan nodded, but morning brought a harder truth. Without the football scholarship or his father's support, tuition would require work, loans, and perhaps a year away from the field. For the first time, honesty had not merely closed a door. It had left Ethan responsible for building the next one. Rain tapped against the windows of the neighborhood diner, while a paper help wanted sign trembled beneath the air conditioning vent. Noah noticed Ethan reading it before their coffee arrived. "Do not turn this into another sacrifice for me," Noah said. Ethan kept his eyes on the sign. "I am not." The application to the state university was still under review, and the numbers in Ethan's notebook offered no mercy. Tuition, housing, books, and transportation formed four clean columns. Even with financial aid, the gap remained several $1,000s. A part-time job could narrow it, but football practices had always consumed his afternoons, and his father's name had once opened doors before Ethan reached them. Now, every door required his own hand. Noah slid the notebook back across the table. He did not offer money. He did not offer to change Chicago. Instead, he circled one expense Ethan had treated as untouchable: the summer quarterback camp that had defined every June since freshman year. "You said you wanted a life that belonged to you," Noah said quietly. "That means deciding what no longer does." For several seconds, only silverware and muted conversation filled the diner. Then Ethan crossed out the camp fee. It was not enough. Across town that evening, Marcus Reed stood inside the school equipment room with Ethan's budget folded in his hand. Ethan had not given it to him. Coach Daniels had. "You asked for a recommendation based on character," Marcus said when Ethan arrived. "Character is also whether you let people stand beside you." Ethan stiffened. He had spent weeks refusing rescue from recruiters, his father, and even Noah. "I am not asking the team to pay my tuition." "Good," Marcus replied. "Because we are not offering charity." He placed a sign-up sheet on the counter. The seniors wanted Ethan to join a paid summer conditioning program they were organizing for middle school athletes. Parents had already registered 27 students. Ethan would design mobility drills, injury prevention sessions, and recovery routines under Coach Daniels' supervision. The work aligned with physical therapy, and the pay would cover books and part of his housing deposit. But Marcus had attached one condition. Ethan could not lead from behind a polished captain's image. At the first parent meeting, he would explain why he had rejected the guaranteed scholarship and why he was choosing an uncertain academic path. His private decision would become public responsibility. "You wanted us to trust the real you," Marcus said. "Show the kids what that costs." The gym smelled of varnished wood and old canvas. Ethan studied the sheet, understanding that accepting meant surrendering control over how his choices were discussed. Refusing meant preserving privacy while losing work he genuinely needed. He signed. 2 nights later, Folding chairs filled one side of the gym. Parents expected a celebrated quarterback selling ambition. Instead, Ethan stood without his jersey, trophies, or captain's pin. He told them football had taught him discipline, but it had also allowed other people to confuse his talent with ownership of his future. He explained that he was applying to study physical therapy because recovery mattered to him more than applause. No mention of Noah was used as defense. No blame was assigned to his father. When Ethan finished, the silence felt heavier than judgment. Then a mother in the second row raised her hand and asked whether her son, recovering from knee surgery, could still participate. Ethan stepped away from the microphone, knelt beside the boy's chair, and began asking careful questions about his therapy plan. The room changed. He was no longer defending a rejected scholarship. He was practicing the person he had chosen to become. Afterward, Marcus handed him the registration ledger. Enrollment had risen to 41. "Looks like honesty can earn something besides consequences," Marcus said. Outside, Noah waited beneath the parking lot lights, holding neither a solution nor a demand. Ethan showed him the signed employment agreement. For once, Noah reached first, taking Ethan's hand where passing cars could see them. Yet beneath the agreement lay another envelope from the state university. The financial aid office had requested an independent status review, and without documentation from Ethan's father, his application could be delayed beyond the housing deadline. Ethan had found work. Now he had to prove that the family which abandoned his future no longer controlled whether he could build one. The financial aid letter lay beneath the registration ledger, its white paper glowing under the parking lot lights. By sunrise, Ethan had made his decision. He would not ask Noah to solve a problem created by his father. Instead, he carried the letter into the guidance office and requested the independent status review himself. The counselor explained that a missing parental statement could delay everything: aid, enrollment, even housing. Ethan listened without bargaining. Then he submitted pay records from Marcus Reed's conditioning program, a written account of his father's refusal to support him, and Coach Danielle's statement confirming that Ethan had been covering his own expenses. It was not enough. The university required direct documentation or a formal determination by its review committee. That afternoon, Ethan called his father. "I am not asking for money," he said. "I need you to put your refusal in writing." Silence filled the line. His father warned him that such a statement would make their separation official. Ethan understood the price. This was no longer about losing approval. It was about surrendering the hope that obedience might someday restore the family he remembered. "Then make it official," Ethan said. 2 days later, a signed declaration arrived. His father confirmed that he would provide no tuition, housing, or living support. The words were cold, precise, and finally useful. Ethan uploaded the document before the deadline, then drove to the conditioning field, where Coach Daniels and Marcus were waiting beside a row of orange cones. Marcus handed him the summer budget. Coach Daniels had added Ethan's wages, projected enrollment, and transportation costs, making every dollar transparent. "No favors," Marcus said. "You earn what is here." Ethan accepted the terms. Across the field, Noah stood near the bleachers with his Chicago acceptance letter tucked inside a portfolio. He had not paid Ethan's bills, chosen his school, or softened the truth. He had simply refused to let love become another form of control. The university's response arrived at 6:17 that evening. Ethan's independent status review had been approved. His financial aid package covered tuition and basic housing, while his summer work would help pay for books and meals. There would be long shifts, careful budgets, and no guarantee that distance would be kind to either of them. Still, the future belonged to choices they had made themselves. Ethan crossed the field and placed the approval letter beside Noah's acceptance letter. Then he took Noah's hand in front of Coach Daniels, Marcus, the waiting parents, and the children gathering for practice. Months earlier, that gesture had exposed a hidden love. Now it meant something deeper. Neither young man was asking to be rescued. Neither was shrinking so the other could remain comfortable. In August, Noah would leave for Chicago. Ethan would begin kinesiology at the State University and continue earning experience through the conditioning program. Their roads would separate without becoming a denial. Under the fading stadium lights, Ethan looked at the boy he had once kept secret and said, "I cannot promise this will be easy." Noah's eyes remained steady. "Promise it will be honest." Ethan tightened his hand around Noah's. "It will." And that day, Dignity did not look like being chosen by someone powerful. It looked like two young men choosing their futures without abandoning themselves.